Yeah, so this is winter 2016. Once we're done with summer 16, then we'll start with the other variant of all the papers. And I hope आप लोग उसको solve करें. So let's start with this one. When measured under the same condition, which gas diffuses at the same rate? So what they're actually asking us is that which of these gases has the same MR as nitrogen? For nitrogen, the MR is 28. So this one is 17, this is 28, this one is 30, and this one is 32. So you just have to add everything up. So nitrogen 14, 3 hydrogen 14 plus 3 gives us 17. I think everybody knows how to find MR. So because carbon monoxide is the one that has the same MR as nitrogen, it will diffuse at the same rate. All right. When calcium carbonate is added to dilute HCl, carbon dioxide gas is released. That's a classical reaction between acids and bases, carbonates only. So what's the best way to measure rate of reaction? So now for rate of reaction, you have to understand that you have to be able to measure any change that happens. So that change in this case is the mass of oxygen that goes out. So that could be it. It could also be the amount of gas that you've collected. And because we are collecting carbon dioxide, so it can also be the amount of carbon dioxide that you have collected. अब उसमें हमें सिर्फ एक चीज का ख्याल रखना है कि whenever you have this kind of question, is delivery over water a suitable method or not? So for gases that dissolve rapidly in water, it might not be the best way. But for gases that don't dissolve as much, it's all right to use that method. All right. So carbon dioxide does not readily dissolve in water. So you usually have to pressurize it to make it soluble in water ज़्यादा amount में. ठीक है? All right. So based on that, I think one is a good one. One is measuring the amount of basically the mass that goes out. Second is also good because what it measures is the amount of gas that you've collected, the volume, except you have to close it after you're done with adding acid because otherwise वो बंद हो जाएगा. ठीक है? And third one, I don't think that's the right way because the gas will escape through the thistle funnel. Okay, and some of it might get dissolved in water. So yeah, the answer should be B, as you said, yes. Which statement is correct? Carbon monoxide reduces sodium oxide to sodium. That will be possible if sodium was less reactive than carbon, which isn't the case. During the electrolysis of copper 2 sulfate solution, hydrogen is liberated at the positive electrode. Actually, no, because copper is the one to liberate as copper is less reactive than hydrogen. Recycling aluminium conserves the Earth's finite supply of hematite. It actually conserves the amount of metal, and aluminium metal is present in bauxite, not hematite, which is for iron. Iron oxide is reduced to iron in blast furnace. Yes, that is the whole point of having a blast furnace. You basically want to get pure iron out. Benzene and cyclohexane are both flammable liquids. Now, flammable and inflammable mean the same thing. I hope that part is clear. They're able to mix with each other without separating into layers. Okay, so there's not only flammable, they're also miscible. They have very similar boiling points. It is difficult to separate a mixture of those two by fractional distillation. Obviously, if they have very similar boiling points, it's very difficult to separate them. Why is it so difficult to separate a mixture of cyclohexane and benzene by fractional distillation? So उन्होंने किया क्या है? They've given you multiple similarities and they want to test whether you know fractional distillation separates them through temperature or not. So based on that, we can see that C is the answer. A, B, and D can be true, but they are not relevant. The graph gives the melting points of mixture of lead and tin. This kind of question usually confuses the students. So let me explain how do you read this. So basically, we have any percentage of mixture over here on the x-axis. Let's suppose you pick, okay, I'm going to take 50% of lead and 50% of tin. So for that one, the melting point is this, which is the same on each axis. So basically, you hover over there on the x-axis, and the more percentage of tin you have, the more it goes closer to the melting point of tin, and the more you have for lead, it goes over there. So basically, this is the point where the melting point is lowest for both of them. यहाँ से आगे वो इस तरफ को increase करता जा रहा है, यहाँ से आगे इस तरफ को increase करता जा रहा है. The highest melting point will be for pure lead, of course, and the lowest melting point is this one, whatever that amount is. The graph shows that any mixture of lead and tin must have a melting point that is below the pure lead, because that's the maximum one. Pure lead से नीचे होएगा उसका melting point, पूरे graph के हर point से नीचे, and they should be above this point, whatever that is. And below that of both tin and lead नहीं हो सकता, क्योंकि this portion of the graph you can see ये सारे points जो हैं, they are above the melting point of tin but below the lead. So यही हमारा आंसर है कि you have to have the values that are below melting point of lead, because that's the pure one. Okay, so lead के नीचे उनको होना चाहिए. Which statement of chlorine atoms and chloride ions is correct? Okay, they are both isotopes. No, actually chlorine and chloride have a difference of electrons in them. It's not the difference of neutrons. They undergo same chemical reaction. No, because things that have the same number of outer electrons undergo the same kind of reaction. Chlorine has 7 electrons. Chloride has 8 electrons. Unki reactivity बहुत different है. They have same number of protons. Yes, they're the same element. So that is true. They have same physical properties. Again, no. Chlorine is green. It exists as diatomic. तो उसकी वजह से gas है. Chloride is independent ion. It conducts electricity. Chlorine does not. All kind of different physical properties. When substance Q melts, only weak forces between its molecules are overcome, of course. Which road describes Q? So वो melt हो रहा है और weak force of attraction है between the molecules, which means molecules हैं तो low melting point होगा, ठीक है, और वो बिजली conduct नहीं करेगा. So low melting point and does not conduct electricity. That's A. How do I know that it doesn't conduct electricity? Because these are molecules. They don't have any free electrons or free ions. All right. A solution containing lead-2 ions is added to a solution containing iodide ions. A yellow precipitate is formed. Yeah, because lead-2 ions form yellow precipitate with iodide. Lead iodide बन जाएगा, जिसका formula lead +2 and iodide -1. So lead I2 हो जाएगा उसका formula. And you will need 1 lead ion for that, and you will need 2 iodide ions for that. ठीक है, तो हमारे पास यहाँ पे B is the answer. Wait a minute, is it B? No, it's C. It's D, because B में the charge is 1 on lead. It should be +2. Okay, Buckminster Fullerene has a chemical formula C60. Okay, how's the structure of this best described? It's a molecule. C60 है, तो 60 atoms का एक molecule बन गया. So it's molecular structure. Which diagram correctly shows the arrangement of ions? This is basically how the ions are arranged, and you have to understand that ions are going to be arranged opposite to each other. So negative ions in connection with the positive ions and positive ions in connection with the negative ions. Same ions आपस में connected नहीं हो सकते. So according to that, it's going to be A, because that's the one where the ions alternate. Aqueous sodium hydroxide is added to a sample of colorless solution. That means no transistor metal, so that leaves out copper too. Aqueous ammonia is added to a separate sample of colorless solution. In both cases, a white precipitate forms which is soluble. Both cases में तो वो zinc है. Zinc is the one that dissolves in both of them. The white precipitate that it forms. तो ये zinc है. वैसे precipitate किसका होता है? ये precipitate उस metal के hydroxide का होता है जब हम cations को test करते हैं. So it is zinc hydroxide that dissolves in excess, not just zinc. ठीक है? And this indicates that you have zinc in it. In an experiment, 1 centimeter cube of gaseous hydrocarbon. Okay, so 1 of Z requires 4 of oxygen to completely give 3 of carbon dioxide and obviously something else. अब इसमें हमें basically क्या देखना है? हमें ये देखना है कि mole ratio is the same as volume ratio. That's one of the Avogadro's laws. So उस वजह से हमें पता है कि जितने अगर Z1 है तो उसमें 3 कार्बन होंगे तो 3 कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड देगा ना. So that means C और D में से कोई आंसर है, A और B नहीं हो सकता, because A can only give 2 carbon dioxide. Then in C and D, we have to see how much of oxygen will we need in total. So we will need H2O, लेकिन देखें यहाँ पर we have 4 oxygen and 3 of them is used up already in carbon dioxide. So we just have 2 of it left. Kaise? We have a total of 8 oxygen atoms, 6 of them in the 3 carbon dioxide, so 2 of them in water. तो हमें वो चीज देखनी है जो हमें 2 water molecules दे. So उसमें कितने hydrogen होंगे? 4. So that is 3 carbon because of 3 carbon dioxide and 4 hydrogen because of 2 water. Okay, so it all depended on you knowing the Avogadro's law that mole ratio is the same as volume ratio, and then being able to balance it out. So the answer is C. What is the best conductor of electricity in these? So that is magnesium, because the other 3 cannot conduct electricity. Diamond में free electrons होते ही नहीं है. They're all involved in strong bonding. Ethanoic acid is molecular. It will not ionize if it is pure. If you dissolve it in water, then it will have ions. It will ionize. Solid sodium chloride has ions, but they are not free to move around, so वो conduct नहीं कर सकता. And magnesium is a metal with free electrons in it in a large quantity, so इस वजह से magnesium करेगा. Molten salts of 4 metals are electrolyzed. ठीक है, उनको melt किया, that means solution नहीं है. The ions of mixed metal require the smallest number of electrons for 1 mole of atoms to be liberated. अब इसमें आप देखें कि smallest number of electrons का मतलब उसके कितने electrons उसको चाहिए ताकि वो reduce हो. So aluminium forms +3, so उसको 3 mole electron चाहिए. Calcium is on group 2, so उसको 2 चाहिए. Iron is transition metal, it can either be +2 or +3, so depending on that उसको या 2 mole electron चाहिए या 3 mole electron चाहिए. And sodium is in group 1, so उसको 1 mole electron चाहिए. So that means sodium is the one, because it's in group 1, it has +1 charge. To reduce it, you just need 1 mole of electrons. So D is the answer. All right, an endothermic reaction has an activation energy of X. Which energy profile diagram is correct for this reaction? First of all, it's telling me that it is endothermic. That means products will be at a higher level than reactants. That's the first one. And secondly, it's telling me that the activation energy is X. So मुझे ये पता होना चाहिए कि smallest यानी कि reactant से highest point तक जो value होगी वो X होगी. So products should be higher than reactants, and the activation energy arrow should start at reactants and at the highest point. So that is it. The following statement refers to the use of catalysts in chemical reactions. Okay, what do catalysts do? Catalyst क्या होता है? Catalyst is a chemical or a substance that speeds up the chemical reaction by providing an alternative pathway, lowers the activation energy without being chemically used up at the end. It does take part in the reaction, end पे वो वापस उसमें हो जाता है. Catalyst cannot change the yield that is produced. It can only increase the rate at which it is produced. Catalyst does not affect the equilibrium in any way. ये बातें catalyst के बारे में आपको पता नहीं चाहिए. So catalyst increases the activation energy is basically the whole point of catalyst is to reduce the activation energy. So this is wrong. A catalyst increases the rate. Yes, that is true. A catalyst increases the yield. No, that is not true. So answer is 2 only. All right. In 2 experiments 1 and 2, an excess of powdered calcium carbonate was reacted in a flask with dilute HCl. Again, something that you've seen before. In experiment 1, the carbon dioxide was collected and the volume of gas measured at regular intervals. ठीक है. So gas की volume collect कर रहे हैं, तो इसका मतलब है कि volume increase होगी. In experiment 2, the mass of flask was measured at regular intervals. So इसका मतलब है mass कम होगा because the carbon dioxide is escaping and flask end पे क्या होगा? सिर्फ flask और उसमें जो remainants रह जाएंगे उनका mass रह जाएगा. The results were plotted on a graph. So इसमें हमने देखना क्या है कि in the first one वो increase करेगी और एक खास value पे चल जाएगी. In the second one वो decrease करेगा और एक खास value पे चल जाएगा. But दोनों cases में वो zero नहीं होएगा. So that means W is the one for reaction 1 and Y is the one for reaction 2. X and Z हमें ये बता रहे हैं कि जो भी चीज है volume of gas है वो increase करती जा रही है और reaction तेज होता जा रहा है. That's not true. नहीं हो सकता है ऐसा. और Z हमें ये बता रहा है कि mass कम हुआ, इतना कम हुआ कि वो flask भी खत्म हो गई और वो हर चीज खत्म हो गई और सब zero हो गया. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. ठीक है? So it is W and Y. Iron 2 reacts with chlorine. Okay. Chlorine gas है. Which statement about this reaction is correct? All right. So what has happened here? Chlorine has become chloride ion. इसका मतलब है iron ने उसे electrons दे दिए हैं. So that means chlorine is reduced by iron 2. Yeah, that is true. Chlorine को iron 2 ने electrons दिए हैं. Iron 2 has oxidized, so chlorine is the one that is reduced. We will not say that chloride is reduced. It is chlorine that is reduced. The thing that is reduced is the oxidizing agent. So chlorine is reduced, so it is the oxidizing agent, and iron 2 is the reducing agent. When water is liquid, it ionizes slightly. Okay. The forward reaction is endothermic. When the temperature is increased, which changes take place? So here's the thing. You have to understand that anything that gives H positive is acidic, and anything that gives OH minus is alkaline. पहली बात तो ये होगी. दूसरी बात, when you have an endothermic process, if you increase the temperature, it will go in the forward direction because you are giving it energy, which will drive it further because वो energy को absorb करेगा. ठीक है? So यहाँ पर water acidic नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि वो H positive और OH negative दोनों produce कर रहा है. So when it's producing both of them, they cancel out each other's effect. So overall H positive in ज़्यादा हो तो acid होता है, overall OH minus ज़्यादा हो तो वो alkaline होता है. When they're equal, तो it's neither acidic nor alkaline. It's neutral. So it's saying when temperatures increase, we know that it will drive it forward, but that simply means that more water molecules form ions. So yeah, it is going to be D because that's true. They will ionize, but they will not be acidic or alkaline. The table shows some properties of 4 metal chlorides. Okay, which row is magnesium chloride? अब magnesium chloride में एक तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि magnesium is not a transition metal, so it's going to be white, the solid color. So A or B cancel out because of that. Magnesium chloride dissolves in water. For chlorides, which are halides, we know silver, mercury, and lead are the ones that don't dissolve. Mercury पे कभी question आया नहीं है, so silver and lead are the halides that don't dissolve. उनके colors भी हमें अच्छी तरह से याद हैं. Silver chloride या lead chloride is white. With bromide, they are off-white, जिसको हम cream भी कहते हैं. And with iodide, they are yellow. So solubility in water, it is going to be soluble, and that's all we need. That's all you need. D part. White होगा, soluble होगा. Metal and acid का reaction अगर हो तो कैसे बनाया जा सकता है? Magnesium को HCl में add कर दें. Magnesium chloride बन जाएगा, which is soluble. Magnesium should be in excess because you can simply filter it out and then crystallize the salt. So that is the method that we need for this. All right. Which statement about the uses of metals is not correct? All right. Aluminium is used for making food containers and electric cables. Food containers तक तो बात ठीक है. Electric cables, aluminium is not a good choice for that. Copper is used for making brass. I don't think so. Copper is not used in making brass. Iron is used as a catalyst in contact process. No, iron is used as catalyst in Haber process. Nitrogen and hydrogen hala. Contact process में we use vanadium 5 oxide. Nickel is used as a catalyst in the hydrogenation. Nickel is used as a catalyst. Yes, that is true. So that is our answer. Okay. All right, moving on. Wait a minute. This question actually asked us to find out not correct. Those may I think I need to review it. Aluminium is used for making food containers and electric cables. We certainly make food containers from it. Electric cables जो aluminium की होती हैं, वो अच्छी quality की नहीं होती, लेकिन हाँ बनाई जा सकती हैं. Aluminium will give P ions first. So yeah, that's right. Copper is used for making brass. Brass में क्या होता था? Copper, zinc, brass बनाते थे ना? Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me. Yeah, C is not correct. Yeah. A lump of element X can be cut by a knife. That means it's really soft. During its reaction with water, explodes and melts. Definitely group 1. What is X? D. Group 1. Which row is a transition metal? What do we know about transition metals? High density, high melting point. That's what we know. So high density, high melting point, B. C has high density but not high melting point. ठीक है, तो इस वजह से D is the answer. Element Z combines with sodium to form the compound Na2Z. What does that tell me? That tells me that first of all, Z is non-metal. Secondly, Z is in group 6 because it's accepting 2 electrons. -2 is the charge. Okay, so group 6 में यहाँ पे B है, so B is my answer. The table shows the observation made when an aqueous solution of salt has different reagents added. Okay. When you add sodium hydroxide, green precipitate is formed. So that can be iron 2, that can be chromium 3. दोनों में से कोई हो सकता है. Dilute nitric acid and then barium nitrate. Barium nitrate किसका टेस्ट होता है? सल्फेट का. याद रखें. Barium जहां पे आ जाएगा, barium nitrate, that is test for white precipitate of barium sulfate. So it's going to be iron 2 because chromium 3 is not an option, and sulfate because of the barium ion. Nitric acid we add because if there was going to be a barium carbonate, वो भी white होगा, but with nitric acid that carbonate basically breaks down and we won't have that. Okay, the diagram shows the apparatus used to extract aluminium from aluminium oxide. ठीक है, we have carbon electrodes. We have molten aluminium that you can see sinking to the bottom, which means it is more dense than electrolyte. Electrolyte in this case is aluminium oxide with a mixed with cryolite, because we need to lower the energy cost. We need to lower the temperature required to melt it. Okay. So let's see. The electrolyte is a solid mixture of aluminium oxide and cryolite. Solid mixture नहीं हो सकता. वो mixed electrolytes have to be fluids. The electrolyte is aluminium oxide dissolved in water. No, there is no water involved. The equation for the reaction at positive electrode पे anions आते हैं. ये aluminium की reaction वहाँ पे बता रहा है, वो नहीं हो सकता. The positive carbon electrode lose mass during the process. Yes, because anions oxide वहाँ पे आता है. It forms, because the temperature is quite high, it forms carbon dioxide with it. Which reaction is not a redox reaction? Okay, let's see. Redox reaction को identify करने का एक बड़ा simple सा तरीका मैंने आपको बताया था. If there is an element on either side of the equation, it's a redox reaction. So C has carbon and oxygen. Sorry, carbon. B has carbon and oxygen, both elements. D has iron element. So A is the one that is not redox. A is decomposition. Copper 2 sulfate solution is placed in an iron container and left to stand for several days. ठीक है, copper 2 sulfate को iron में डाल दिया. Iron we know is more reactive. Copper 2 is less reactive. So iron will simply displace it. So copper 2 will convert to copper and iron will convert to iron ions. Iron sulfate जो भी solution बनेगा वो होगा, और copper 2 will be क्या कहते हैं उसको, pink copper में convert हो जाएगा. ठीक है, let's see. The atmospheric oxygen reacts with copper 2 sulfate to give black copper 2 oxide. Nope. ऑक्सीजन इस तरह से रिएक्ट नहीं कर सकती. हाँ, कॉपर होता, उसे हीट करते तो कॉपर 2 ऑक्साइड बन जाता, but that's not happening here. Okay, some fine iron particles are formed. No, iron doesn't dissolve. The iron actually reacts. The part of the container in contact with the solution is coated with copper. Yeah, that is true, because copper is going to be reduced to copper metal. So we are going to see pink deposit. C is true. The solution turns from green to blue. Blue color was there because of copper 2. Green color might be there because of iron 2. So it's going from copper 2 to iron 2. So it is blue to green, not green to blue. All right. In the manufacture of paper, sulfur dioxide is used to remove the yellow color from the wood. So basically, वो क्या कर रहा है? वो bleach कर रहा है उसको. Which term can be used to describe sulfur dioxide? A bleaching agent. So yeah, A. Which statement about the uses of gases is not correct? All right. Helium is used in balloons. It is used in balloons because it's unreactive and less dense. That's true. Those are the two requirements that we have. Hydrogen is used in addition reaction with saturated vegetable oil. Saturated अगर वो already है तो hydrogen का क्या करना? Double bonds होंगी तो hydrogen को add करेंगे ना? Saturated compounds do not undergo addition reaction. This is false. Nitrogen from the air is used in manufacture. Yeah. Nitrogen from the air is used. Air is 78% nitrogen. So a rich source of nitrogen. Oxygen is used in making steel and welding. Yes, it is. Electrical energy can be generated using simple cells as shown. Okay, so what's happening here is that you have two rods of metal which have different reactivity, and because of that, one of them starts reducing the other. जिसमें electrons move होते हैं और electricity produce हो जाती है. Which pair of metals, when used as electrodes, will give the largest reading? So higher the difference in their reactivity, the higher the number of electrons that transfer, or faster that they transfer, which means we are looking for a pair that has really large difference in reactivity. So reactivity series range में रखें. So हमारे पास lead and sodium quite far away, but magnesium and copper. I think there are 4 elements between magnesium and copper in the reactivity series we use for O level. So lead and sodium is still better. Potassium and silver, definitely. Potassium is on one extreme, silver is on the other extreme. Definitely, this is the answer. Sodium and potassium तो बिल्कुल साथ साथ हैं, उन्होंने क्या करना? All right. When reacted with excess of dilute sulfuric acid, 0.002 moles of metal M liberated 48 cm³ of hydrogen measured. So देख लेते हैं. 0.002 है वो 48 cm³ है. So 48 over 24,000 करेंगे तो हमें पता चल जाएगा how many moles is that. So that is going to be 0.005, I guess. (0.002 ही है. That basically tells me that the mole ratio of the metal and hydrogen is the same. So जितना metal होगा उतनी hydrogen gas release होगी, 1-to-1 ratio होगी. So let's see. It is C. Mole ratio of metal and hydrogen is the same there. The diagram shows a section of polymer. Which alkene is used to make this polymer? So you have to identify the repeating unit. You have 3 repeating units being shown. So there is this one. There is this one, and there's the one in middle. So just copy that one. वो क्या रहा है कि यहाँ पे ये है, यहाँ पे, sorry. So there is hydrogen here. There is C2H5 there, and then add a double bond in the middle. So that's the one you're looking for. So you can see the first carbon from this side has a double bond. So CH2, CH, C2H5 is the formula that we're looking for. So it is going to be B, I think. Yeah. From the right side is the same as this molecule. The table shows some atmospheric pollutants and their possible effects. CFCs, they deplete ozone. Yes, that's true. CO2. CO2 forms global warming gas. So, ये photochemical smog वाली बात गलत है because that is formed from ozone. Carbon monoxide is poisonous. Yes, it is toxic. Causes blood में जाके causes blood cancer, carboxyhemoglobin and all that. Nitrogen dioxide is acidic gas, so it does form acid rain when it dissolves in water. So yeah. All right. So answer यहाँ पे B है. Which compound is the most viscous and the least flammable? So for that you have to understand that the larger the molecule of hydrocarbon, the stronger the intermolecular forces, which means कि वो उतना ही less viscous होएगा, ज़्यादा viscous होएगा, पास उसके molecules रहेंगे, and उतना ही उसको break down करना energy ज़्यादा चाहिए, तो वो less flammable होएगा. So the largest one, just pick that. How many moles of ethanoic acid will react with 1 mole of magnesium? So magnesium is in group 2, but ethanoic acid gives 1 H positive. So the ratio is going to be 2-to-1. So you'll need 2 of ethanoic acid to react with 1 mole magnesium. So 2-to-1. With which substance will ethene react to form more than one product? So ethene does not react with argon. Argon is in noble gas. Hydrogen के साथ it will make ethane. That's just one product, additional reaction. Oxygen के साथ will burn, combustion reaction producing carbon dioxide and water. So that is C. Steam के साथ if we form alcohol, we know that we do it in presence of phosphoric acid as catalyst, 300 degrees Celsius. So that means steam के साथ भी addition reaction होगा. That's not the answer. C is the answer. Which statement about isomers of a compound is always correct? क्या होते हैं isomers? They are same structure, same molecular formula, different structure. That's what isomers are. तो ये कह रहे हैं कि they have different empirical formula. जब molecular formula same है तो empirical formula भी same है. So this is wrong. They have different MR, वो भी गलत है. The formula is same है तो same ही होगा. They have only carbon and hydrogen in their molecules. No, most organic compounds have isomers. They have the same molecular formula. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yes. How many of the structures shown have unsaturated hydrocarbon molecule or unsaturated hydrocarbon molecule? So for that, you have to understand that the double bond between carbon and the other carbon is what matters. Carbon oxygen double bond does not matter. उससे saturation का कोई ताल्लुक नहीं. It is the carbon double bond that matters. And I can see only one of them has that. So that's just the third one. One is the answer. Which type of polymer is made by reacting amino acids together? Amino acids basically form peptide linkage and they form proteins, which is a polyamide. Peptide linkage from amide linkage we get there. So this is going to be C. And that's it. That is this paper, winter 16, paper 1, 2. Any questions?